And we are recording. LaToya, you want to start us off with number one?
What guidelines could Donna have provided for the teachers prior to the grade level meeting? Can you guys hear me?
It's kind of choppy.
Mm-hmm. Can you all hear me?
I can now. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So question number one, what guidelines could Donna have provided for the teachers prior to the grade level meeting? Mm-hmm. I feel like Donna could have given them her expectations of what she wanted. I feel like she wasn't really clear as to what she wanted or how to get the results that she wanted. Yeah. I like the fact that she met with the leaders of the school, I guess the individuals that she knew would buy into what she was trying to do. But I feel like she fell short providing a plan for barriers, such as that third grade team. Yeah.
The one with a lot of veteran teachers. I wrote basically the same thing. Mm-hmm. That she could have given them a common tool to use when making observations, and the teachers could reflect on themselves after watching a video. I think that was the third grade teacher. That way that everyone would have a common process. And she could have prepared a survey prior to the grade level meeting to attain initial thoughts going forward about the new professional support, to get an idea.
Mm-hmm. A lot of what I said she could have provided specific guidelines, which is pretty much what you guys had said, related to the original committee meeting. And in my mind, if I were her, the way I would go about and do it a second time, I would have the original committee meet on the specifics of what was going to be implemented this year and have a plan for the entire year before they took it to the grade level meetings, and then let them kind of work out the details of how they wanted to do it. And so like I had a list. I said like meet with grade level meeting by a specific day, and then meet with the administrator in the grade level by a specific day. Set up your instructional round or your observation tool by a specific day. Complete the first round and the second round by specific days. Meet with principal about the process, and then do an evaluation at the end of the year. Because what they did was she kind of opened herself up to there not being implementation the first year because she didn't give those specifications to them. And I've done, in my role at my job, I've done that to myself and trying to let people pick because you really want to be friendly and you want them to have input, which is okay to a certain extent. But whenever you hit that wall of teachers that just won't do unless you give them, this is the tool we're going to use to document all of our PLC and school improvement plan stuff. Everybody uses the same one. You put in it what you want to. What goals you choose to have is fine, but everybody has the same type of thing. And you have one person that records minutes every week. Right. And so that was my recommendations for her there was I like the idea of the community, but just going about it that way I don't feel like it was effective. And eventually she's going to end up not having anything done by the end of the first year, it doesn't seem like.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Some groups she definitely would, but in that third grade group, the one with the veteran teachers, there's probably not going to be a lot done.
No. It seems like she was trying to build teacher efficacy, and that's what I was saying. It's kind of like you have to have a balance.
Yeah.
Or, you can give them a little leeway because she didn't have a peer at all.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have buy-in, I mean, you got nothing.
Yep. Yeah, and to me, whoever was appointed to that committee should have been, I feel like that is the piece almost that you would have the grade levels buy into, is who your representative is, and you should have confidence in that person enough to be able to make those decisions as a group and then take those decisions back. Do you see what I'm saying? At least that's how I would handle it, and that may not be right, but that's kind of my thought to it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she didn't have anybody the third grade team on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she could have multiple from there if she felt like that they were going to be resistant.
Right.
And that's kind of what we do for our school improvement team. Our school improvement team at school is not strong leaders in the building. It's the people that are going to be roadblocks for us. So then whenever we roll it out, they're the least resistant because they came up with the plan, and they're actually the ones getting others to do it that are already halfway bought it anyways. And it's helped us this year going about doing it that way, because that's where our sports come from.
Yeah.
So, sorry. I felt very strongly about that first piece, which is why I had my list, because I've put myself in that situation before.
Well, that's good to have, some experience talking,
Yeah.
I'll start off number 2. How could the teacher's final plans be effective for the instructional process? I said teachers observing other educators within the same grade level may be able to make suggestions to improve instruction or comment on already outstanding instructional practices so that the observed teacher may continue to implement those strategies. So basically, it's peer coaching, which I talked about with you guys before. Kind of like you are the expert in the instructional process. You are the expert in the standards. So sometimes you can give more valuable information than an administrator that comes in occasionally or is not as familiar with the standards. Because it's hard to be an elementary school, and I'm sure high school too. You have to be familiar with all those standards? Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. And I said I felt like that it was effective because you're developing a shared culture. So teachers are comfortable with one another. They're also able to use other strategies and other, different types of things that teachers are using in their classroom. And it also promotes reflection. A lot of times we don't have time to reflect because we're so busy, but the way she had it worked out, the teachers would be able to reflect on their own practices and gain some insight from others with the new instructional strategies they saw inside the classroom. Mm-hmm. So, but I felt like it promotes a good culture, a shared culture, or a collaborative culture.
Yes. I felt like viewing other teachers' classrooms provide instructional support to teachers. So like it said in the case study, they're providing professional support, and they didn't want to use the term observation. I feel like sometimes in doing a process like this, you have to be careful of the wording that you use so people don't think that other people are coming in to evaluate what they're doing. But it helps the person being observed because it's giving them additional data or input in their instructional practices. And like you said, with having the principal may not know the content area very well, Carmen, but the other teachers in the grade level or content area may. And so they're giving specific support about that content area is definitely helpful. But the teacher observing also, it's impactful for them whenever they see other strategies and things work in a classroom. So It kind of works good. It works well for both if it's done well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. You have to be willing to be open to change. And sometimes, like you said, you may feel like, oh, that's not going to work. But if I see it in the other teachers and it is working, then you kind of you're more likely to try it.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from doing this kind of observation, professional support, peer coaching, that it took some training too to be effective observers and to give commentary to our coworkers without coming across like you're an evaluator, and to be able to take that constructive criticism at the same time. So that was very good that you put it that way, because I think we do get very self-conscious and we want to put our best foot forward when it's an administrator, but when it's our coworker, our peer, they might get an actual insight into our classroom. It wouldn't be contrived. It would be real.
Right. A real snapshot of really what's going on. And I also think, I know at least with me, some teachers are very competitive. So I think it helps with that too. Like to show that we are a team and, we're working together to improve instruction instead of just, you know how you
My
go to
class is better than your class.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it helps with.
Yeah, definitely does. Makes people more approachable too, to be able to collaborate and talk about instructional practices as well.
That's what PLCs are all about.
Right.
All right, Priscilla, bring us home. Do number 3.
So how would the principal be able to evaluate whether the new observation format was working successfully for the students? And so I kind of went along the thought process of, if they had done the schedule like I had suggested in number 1, a way for them to be able to check is they could review the templates that the departments had come up with related to the observations and the reflections, whatever they chose, whatever the guidelines were that they had. And I said each grade level could have their own template that they create and record information if the principal just says you have to have these 3 or 4 pieces to it, and they kind of figure out what that looks like for each one. But it needed to be submitted to the administration team or checked by an administration team on a periodic basis. So finally, at the end of the year, they could also do a survey to collect information to see how each grade level felt about the process, so they could revise it for the next year.
Right.
And that's how we've kind of done PLCs at our school. Is here's like the basic template. You can put into it what you want. At the end of the year, we did evaluations last year to see what we can change this year, and we've made changes on it and are starting to allow teachers to have more choice in what they do because we've kind of set the guidelines before. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it made me think of whenever I saw that step number 3.
Okay, when I read the question, I was thinking from a student's perspective. At our school, we're starting to survey our students a little more.
Okay.
Give them surveys based on the instruction, how they felt the lesson went, what could have gone better, because sometimes students will give you a better insight on what needs to be happening in class. Like when we're talking about engagement, different types of platforms we can use in the classroom. So I was thinking that maybe you could, give the student surveys. And I think I thought about that because during the time at our school, we didn't do the annual NC Teach that survey that you usually do. We're not doing that this year. We're doing a different survey, but we still allow the students, our 4th grade, they took the survey about the school and their teacher and the instruction. So that's what I thought about.
I actually agree with you, LaToya. I took it from the student standpoint, and I said that she could survey the students both formally and informally to ascertain any change within the classroom that they found to be beneficial. But then the bottom line is, we're administrators to support and make successful teachers, but what do successful teachers make? Yeah. Successful students. So if she's looking at formative and summative assessment data, over time, with this particular practice of instructional, strategies or professional support, she should see some increase in student achievement, or you would at least hope to. So that was the other caveat, is formative and assessment data.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Well, ladies, that was pretty interesting.
Yep, that was very, very short, very sweet, very good. I like how we all have a little different point of view for nearly every question, but kind of have the same basic understanding. It's good.
Yeah, and I think it also relates back to part 3, where we're getting ready to plan based on our findings for instruction. So the principal could have also used that approach. I think we all were basically saying that, to where, you evaluate, you see what you need, and then you create a plan based on the data that you've gathered. So
yep, and then you have to follow it up.
Yep. So
all right, well, I'm going to stop recording. So hang on one second. Let me try that.